All right. Hi, everyone. Lori Tucker here, along with our legal analyst, Greg Isaacs, and our special guest today, Todd Kelly Jr., VFL. Always good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for both of you all for having me here.
Oh,
Welcome.
of course. You played for Tennessee, of course, from 2014 to 2018. I see you out and about. We both do. You're very much into your community. So, how's everything going before we get into the topic at hand today?
Absolutely, it's going fantastic. I'm involved in the community as much as I can. Also focusing on my day job at Merrill Lynch and being a husband, a father of two. It's been a blessing, but Knoxville has a special place in my heart.
You have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
glad you're with us. All right,
Your
Greg.
wife really outkicked her coverage. Good football
She-
metaphor.
She's gorgeous and so
She
sweet.
is.
Everyone, we're here today to continue the conversation about NIL, the Iamaleava. Here I've been spitting it out, and I just didn't that time. The family and other lawsuits have brought this topic really back into the national spotlight. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First, Todd, what do you think about NIL as a whole?
Well, since it wasn't around while I was playing,
Right.
I'm envious at times, right? But at the same time, the teammates that I had, I wouldn't know who my teammate was the next year. So just people flipping and flopping and chasing the money versus the program they're going to. It's been very interesting. I would have him on my side. I know that if I had a contract to sign.
Interesting.
Well, it's the interesting thing, and I mean, Todd, you've got a very recognizable profile and whatever, but the legal fiction with NIL is the agreements are a collective pays a student athlete for their name, image, and likeness, and in theory, you're not paying people to come to a particular school or university, and we all know that's just a legal fiction and a bunch of hooey, but it's really interesting how the Iamaleava family are two brothers that created and continually changed the landscape of NIL. And, Todd, I'll be curious what your thoughts were when UT successfully challenged the NCAA NIL prohibition and successfully obtained a preliminary injunction, and then it went down and became final that college athletes could be paid.
Yeah, I think it was huge. One, because the University of Tennessee was a resounding name for all the other schools, right? And we put ourselves out there and said, hey, if we're going to pay people, this is what it's going to look like. And you have to have some kind of structure. And as a student athlete playing at the University of Tennessee, you want to know that your college cares about you, right? So standing up, putting yourself out there, very thankful for the university. But now there's still so many smoking mirrors, gray areas, and it goes down to what's true and what's not.
Yeah, and the NCAA isn't enforcing any rules at this point regarding the NIL. So, it is
and a
out
lot
there.
of legal opinion scholars call it the Wild Wild West. But Nico was the poster child for the University of Tennessee's lawsuit. Then he changed the landscape of NIL again recently when he did the money grab holdout on the at the end of spring practice, even the orange and white game, and UT again set a precedent and said no. We are not going to renegotiate your agreement. And
he ends up probably making less
at
UCLA.
Absolutely.
But now Nico and his brother Madden may change the landscape of college sports again because his brother took a $500,000 deal with the University of Arkansas collective Arkansas X. He joined his brother, jumped ship, went to UCLA, and that collective said, wait a minute. They have sent out signals and publicly have stated, we intend to pursue legal action to collect our investment, breach a contract. So Nico opens the door for college athletes to be paid big bucks.
Right.
Opens the door, slams it shut that they're going to make less.
Yeah.
And now his brother has opened the door for them to be named in a bunch of lawsuits. So the question becomes, who sues who?
Right. And another network that shall remain unnamed has said that Arkansas has hired a top-tier attorney.
Tom Mars. Tom Mars is a good guy. I worked with him in the Cade Mays case when he transferred. When I worked with him, he was involved at the beginning of that case.
But they're serious.
They're serious. They hired someone that specializes in college athletes, NCAA regulations, litigation. So that's going to be interesting on how that unfolds.
Yeah, Madden could be on the hook for a couple of $100,000.
There actually he had a buyout clause, and you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
Again, these agreements from collectives aren't pay to play at UCLA or University of Tennessee. You can't see the agreements because they're all confidential, but apparently define the scope of your endorsements, the duration of your agreement, how much you're going to get paid, if it's terminable and how so, and sets a code of conduct for students. So really interesting, but I think with this litigation starts, we're going to get to see inside the underbelly, which I think we're not going to like what we see of NIL.
Well, and when it comes to NIL, we talked a little bit before we came on here with you all about Nico and not really seeing much of him with NIL. Like, you're supposed to play.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really, there was no, I didn't really see much from him.
Word on the street is that, for example, when he and other players were obligated to be at a golf tournament and sign autographs and be there, that oftentimes he was not. Now, I have no personal knowledge of that, but that's going to be interesting. But here's the question that's burning up social media. Arkansas is going to sue Madden. Does our collective have legal standing, because we haven't seen the agreement, to sue Nico if they could? Should they? I know there's litigation where 6 University of Miami basketball players have sued Leonard Hamilton, the ex-coach, for promising them $250,000 each in reneging.
Yeah, they never got it.
Yeah, so now we got players, like superstar players like Todd Kelly Jr., we got coaches, we got scouts, and now here comes the era of the lawyer.
Here we go. All right, shall we take a break at this point? We're asking our digital producer, Hope, who's standing by in the wings. We're going to take a break, everyone. Hold that thought. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Lori Tucker, along with our legal analyst, Greg Isaacs, and our superstar guest, Todd Kelly Jr. We're glad you're with us today. Really speaking frankly about NIL, where things stand right now. And boy, this could go anywhere, couldn't it?
It could.
Let's go back to the legalities of this and if the pending House settlement is approved. So what is the fallout from that?
Kind of briefly recap, we talked about this before. In the House case, House against the NCAA, they have sued, Grant House did, alleging that he was denied his ability to receive NIL because the lawsuit came too late. That lawsuit is going to be settled. There's a settlement conference on May 7th. There's a $1 billion settlement pool. All the Power 5 schools, everybody's got to chip in. And TK, they're going to pay players back to 2016.
Yeah.
And it's going to change things. They're going to do away with the collectives, which is a legal fiction. So universities can pay players directly. The collective will do what the collective should do, manage name, image, and likeness, and you're going to have a separate wing of the NCAA to enforce NIL and to divvy out this money. So the question is, big man, are you going to get a chunk of this?
You played during that time, 2014 to 2018, that smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, so they sent me my user ID claim number. I signed in. I know in a range what I'm going to get. The interesting thing is, because it goes back to management, right, and truly administrating. And I compared myself to, somebody that didn't play at all, a starter, a quarterback, and you see it's kind of evened out versus NIL, negotiating your contract. So it's less pay for play back then. It's kind of just even scale. But I think, and I say, how much could I have gotten?
Right.
I think a little bit more than this settlement's saying.
Look at that smile.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize we had a real-life House plaintiff
I
here
didn't
on
either
set.
until just now. This is breaking news, everyone.
Would never paid for lunch, ever, if I didn't know that.
I'll get you back now
Yeah.
once
So
it settles.
you're seriously going to maybe pursue this then?
So, the thing
Tell
about
us how it works.
Yeah.
So how it works, because they have a great compliance team over there at University of Tennessee, and thankfully our compliance officer that was there while I was playing ended up coming back and is on campus now, JB Bowling, and we had a great conversation, and we went in depth on what does this mean, when do I receive it, what are the payouts. Obviously nothing's settled and confirmed yet, but right now they're looking at 14 years, breaking out in allotments of year-by-year basis for a 10-year payout. So
Okay.
for easy math, say it's $1 million, so you're going to get paid $100,000 annually. Now, this is not taxed. It's just a lump sum payment. You get it out and you divvy it for 10 years. That being said, I looked back and said, hey, I played in 2016, 2017, also took a medical red shirt, came back, does that apply? So there's so many people in this pool. I'm just looking and saying, hey, whatever you're going to settle for, I'll take it.
Well, fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
So what, being
I think we're both in shock right now.
Yeah.
So being a VFL, a Vol for Life, what would your counsel be? You're a superstar money manager guy. You still have amazing contacts with players. If I want to know something, the reason I know things, I'll call people like TK. But what do you tell the players that aren't VFLs? They're just following the money. Where do you counsel them in drawing the line between being a college athlete or being a professional mercenary?
Yeah, so my Merrill team and I were able to host office hours at Thornton Academic Center, where I'm able to spend one-on-one time with the student athletes. And first, I get to know them, right? Everybody has a story. But then the sport you play is important to you, and you're also getting paid for it. But how much do you know about the tradition of your school? Does it even matter? So the more I've dove in, the more I've realized, hey, this is more a transactional business now versus truly relational, going to a university, graduating, looking back at your graduating class, staying in touch with, your buddies, your gals that you played with. So the landscape has changed tremendously, and that's why you need someone to advise you, right? No matter where you are in the country, you need representation.
I say that as a parent all the time, just on the outside looking in. Young people,
Yeah.
a lot that come from not a lot, and not knowing how to manage their money. And you think, how long is this going to last? And we see terrible stories, tragic stories of mismanagement.
Yeah, the other thing that people still use these misnomers about college athletes wanting to go pro, be a professional.
Sure.
They are professionals. Now look at the recent draft when Shedeur Sanders dropped.
Yes.
Will make less money than he was invariably at Colorado. Ewers, the Texas quarterback, turned down $7 million and went in the 7th round. So the league minimum is nowhere near that. He'll be lucky to get $1 million. So, should the players be treated as professionals, or should they be treated as college students? And hey, put your academics first. If you're late to practice, I don't understand. What's the temperature over in Gibbs right now?
Oh, the ship has sailed. You're no longer considered that. You're considered a professional because you get paid. Those guys are getting paid a lot of money, right? And the thing about it is, how much value do they see in the money, right? They've worked so hard, because a lot of times when you're a student athlete on any level, you think you deserve it, right? And what do you think when you deserve something? You're always going to want more and more. And that true value of what it means to be a Tennessee Volunteer or whatever school you're at, there's really no value in it. You're seeing yourself as a professional, and you're putting yourself on this pedestal of, I don't care where I am, I just want to be where I get the most money.
Is the loyalty to the Big Orange, or is it to the Dead Presidents Club?
That green, it is. It's
Wow.
all about the cash. It's all about the money. And so much so that people are putting themselves into the transfer portal at their school just to see if they can negotiate.
Just to see
at
what
their
can
own
happen.
school.
What about academics, though? You've got to be able to make the grade to stay on the team.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of,
Well,
right? Help us
I see that.
understand the reality of that right now.
And that's where I see it from a different lens. Just by the way I was raised, right? I knew how much academics meant
Tell
to
us
my
the
family.
way you were raised. Tell us about your
Your
dad
mom, Renee, your dad, Todd Sr., your mom's a
absolutely.
huge
VFL
educator.
played pro football?
Yeah. So my father, first-round draft pick, Super Bowl winner from Hampton, Virginia. Grew up with Allen Iverson, Michael Vick, the whole crew, Mike Tomlin. So from that area, and excelled professionally. And then my mom, who has over 20 years of experience in academics, so through education. So being a student athlete, like I had to be this and that, getting A's and scoring 4 touchdowns.
You said student first, student athlete.
Yeah,
Yes.
and to be honest, I think a lot of people put that athlete before student, specifically people that are enrolled, across the country.
Fascinating. What do you think about the optic when I'm driving home and I'm driving a car that it took me 35 years to
Yeah.
afford, and I see an athlete buzz by me in the same
Yeah.
exotic sports car, and UT's raised the ticket prices 10%. Do you think it even dawns on them that maybe some of the fans that are shelling out these bucks don't like to see you blowing by them in a Maserati or
Certain
a
resentment
Lambo?
there. Yeah.
It's interesting, and to go back, everybody remembers when they were 18 to 22 years old, right? I mean, your frontal cortex is still forming. You're not informed to make the right decisions at that time, nor are they thinking about a future, right? They're not thinking about what's in it for me buying a house. Their flashy things are flashy, and it catches their eye, and they think about the now versus a year from now, 5 years from now. So anything we as VFLs, that have been through it can do to, share that with them, that message with them, the better it is for them, because I've seen that too, and it's an eye opener. I'd say that.
Heath Schuler's a friend of mine, and when he was at UT, he told me he drove a Honda Ridgeline pickup truck, and we were commenting about one of the players last season had just bought a Maybach and spent $250,000.
Oh yeah,
my goodness.
and probably wasn't much to them either.
Wow.
I remember driving my Toyota 4Runner. I was gonna drive that thing till the wheels fell
And your
off,
parents said
and they
you're
did.
going to drive that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When you counsel some of these players, what are
Sure.
some of the questions they ask you? Because again, money is right there dangling in front of them.
Yeah, I think the number one thing they ask is having the prestige, having the popularity. How did you not worry about that and worry more about what was important to you, the community? How do I give back? How do I get ingrained? And not everybody asks me those, but the people that do, that's the ones you hold on to,
Right.
I mean, you leave
That's
the
good.
99 to save the one, and out of that, they do the same thing. So those are the ones that I hold on to for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We're going to take another break. Everyone, stay with us. We'll be back with Todd Kelly Jr. and Greg Isaac. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. We've got about 9 minutes left, and so we really want to get into the heart of this before we let you go today, and we're glad you've joined us to talk about NIL. You say NIL, everybody has a pretty strong opinion about it. Todd, what are 3 things you would change about it from a player's perspective?
From a player's perspective, one, I think it's just, what is my deal, right? Because a lot of times these players go back and forth and there's no true commitment. So whatever my commitment is, whatever my deal is, sticking to it. Make it a little more sticky, because right now it is the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Number 2, in NIL, make sure you know where you are in the university you're at, right? Make relationships with the alumni. Make relationships with your teammates, because the ones that go off, so be it. But that's how you become a leader at whatever school you're at. And 3, don't worry about what you're making that first year. Work hard, because you see a lot of the players that stayed and ended up having an impact going in the NFL draft. Think about a Dylan Sampson who could have left, right? People that wait their turn because they know that when their name's called, they're going to be able to perform.
What about you, Greg, from the legal standpoint?
First of all, and maybe the House decision will do it, do away with the legal fiction that student athletes are being paid for their name, image, likeness, and not to attend a particular university, because they don't have a name, image, or likeness typically till they establish themselves on the field, he or she. Secondly, we need to eliminate the disparity, because when you have a locker room with somebody being paid $2, $3, $4 million, and another athlete that's on the field at the same time being paid $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, it creates a problem. Professional sports have kind of handled that with collective bargaining, baseball, etc. And the third thing is, I would have more transparency and more enforceability. When I'm writing my check to the volunteer fund, I want to know where my money is going and how certain I am when this money goes to a collective. So I think there needs to be more transparency. And if they are going to be professional student athletes, they need to be accountable as professional student athletes. And that if you're going to jump ship, then you need to know you better call a lawyer. because you're just not going to go to UCLA and be lying on the beach doing what you do.
Well, and going back to professional student athletes, not only honoring the agreement, but doing what is expected of you and being an upstanding citizen. That's
Yeah.
important in all of this as well, to not give the NIL such a terrible name, right?
Absolutely, I think so. And it all starts with managing what you have. You know, it's not what you make; it's what you keep.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you see these expenditures that these student athletes are buying, and I mean, it's outrageous. You know, and you sign these contracts, you don't know what's in the contract, and so you get yourself into a deep hole where you don't know how to dig yourself out, nor do you have the resources to do so.
And I've seen people prey on college athletes. You know, that people have showed up in my skybox of athletes and whatever. And I mean, it was amazing just overhearing the interest rates. Like people were paying their car notes for them and then charging them like astronomical interest rates at the end when they went pro. Really, and they were letting people flip cars every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So you have a young person that's never really had credit, bought a vehicle, and they didn't realize.
Manage the house. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, they have now, probably gone upside down in indebtedness $100,000 because you didn't like the color of your Jeep.
That's the heartbreaking side of this as well.
This University of Tennessee, one thing I think would be important too is to have people on staff that counsel student athletes about predators and responsibilities.
And do you bring that up when you go speak with
So
them?
I think, from a vulnerability perspective, you have someone on staff. How comfortable are you receiving that message? And two, when it happens,
Good point.
Yeah.
are you going to go and share everything with that trust factor? They're not going to go tell their other staff members. And that's why, I
Yeah.
really enjoy being there as a resource.
They're going to
'Cause
listen
I've
to
been there,
you. Yeah.
I've done that, right?
Yeah.
Without the money. You know what I mean? So now that they have everything plus that, that's a huge addition. What do I do? There's people coming at me. Is this person legit? Is this person not? How do I check up on that? So that's a very great question. And they do have people on staff, but the more people we can have that, are trustworthy and that they know they can rely on, the better.
Before we let you go, let's talk about the future. I mean, we've been calling it the Wild Wild West. Women's sports, women's athletics. This could be everywhere.
And it should be. That's why there needs to be across-the-board regulation. But
Right.
again, it's not NIL. It's paying student college athletes. NIL and professional college athletes are two different things. NIL was just the way that the paying students, we got our foot in the door to do that.
Right.
And it's amazing how quick it changed. Remember the allegations involving Jeremy Pruitt and money in McDonald's bags? And literally almost a year later, we're doing it out in the open
I
and
know.
writing some big checks.
It was, and I was there to experience that. Coach Pruitt recruited me when he was at Alabama and coached me at UT, but
You didn't have some McDonald's, did you?
no.
Greg.
no.
Well, you said you experienced it.
I thought about it, but decided not to ask.
Just some Smoothie King commercials.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Oh my goodness. It's been a pleasure. Thank
It
you so
has.
much for
Thanks, brother.
being here
Absolutely.
today,
Yeah.
Greg. As always, thank you.
Thank
and
you, Lori.
we would love for you to weigh in. Let us know what you think, not only about this segment, but about NIL, which he doesn't like that term. Let us know what you think. Weigh in right here, and we're glad you could be with us. You can watch this anytime. Thank you for being with us.